When a civilization of light falls, it does not disappear. It hides inside the bones of its daughters. Welcome back, Ancient One. Episode 5, When Lemuria Sank, the Women Who Promised to Return. In the beginning, there was only light. Light that took form as crystal cities rising from the ocean like living dreams. Light that sang through the spines of priestesses who remembered how to breathe creation into being. And at the heart of it all was a civilization whose only law was love. A civilization called Lemuria. But even paradise has a fault line, because love, when tested by fear, begins to crack. And from that first crack, a story was born. A story of betrayal, war, and a sacred promise made by women who refused to let the light die. The perfect world begins to tremble. In Lemuria, everything pulsed with sentience. Crystals listened, mountains breathed, the ocean hummed in serpent song. People did not mine or build, they collaborated with light, breath, and code. But as Atlantis rose from the opposite side of the world, a different vibration began to grow, one built not on heart resonance, but on mind. Not on communion, but on control. At first, the two civilizations coexisted in balance. Lemuria, feminine crystalline heart, Atlantis, masculine geometric intellect. But soon the Atlanteans began asking dangerous questions. What if crystal could be weaponized? What if serpent energy could be bound and controlled? What if we could rule Earth instead of serve her? When those questions began to echo across the ley lines, Lemurian oracles looked into their crystal pools and saw a vision they had never seen before. Darkness, war, falling cities, blood in the water. They sounded no alarms. Instead, they began in secret to prepare. Priestess orders go underground. There were 13 major orders of Lemurian priestesses. Each held a different frequency. Rose code holders of the heart, serpent priestesses who worked with breath and kundalini, crystal keepers who programmed the city's light grids. When the Atlantean vibration began to turn invasive, the High Council of Lemuria gathered in the Temple of the Womb Gate, the oldest structure on Earth, said to be built by star beings who arrived long before recorded time. There they made a decision. We cannot stop what is coming, but we can protect what must survive. And so in silence, they created the hidden covenant of the priestess lineage. They would descend into the earth, below crystal cities, into serpent tunnels, through volcanic core lines. They would take with them the codes, the serpent, the womb, the crystal, the breath, and pass them down through bloodline and incarnation, until a future generation was ready to remember. That future generation is you. The moment of the shattering. And then it happened. A series of Atlantean experiments in energy warfare ripped a hole in the Earth's magnetic field. The Pacific began to groan, mountains split. The crystal cities, once invisible in higher vibration, began to glitch into physical sight, then flicker out again, as if gasping. Lemurians gathered on the cliffs. Women clutched their wombs in terror. Serpent guardians howled beneath the earth. And the priestesses chanted, not to save Lemuria, Pa, but to carry her heart into the future. When we fall, they whispered, we will rise again in the bodies of our daughters. We will remember through their tears, and we will return when Earth cries out for love once more. The land began to sink, not slowly but violently. Whole temples swallowed by the sea, crystal towers bending, shattering, exploding into light. And as the continent of Lemuria went under, the priestesses descended even deeper, vanishing into light tunnels beneath, some into Mount Shasta, some into Hawaii, some into Sri Lanka and Kumari Kandam, some into secret serpent caves of South India. There they sealed themselves in time capsules of consciousness, waiting for the day their descendants would awaken and hear the call once again. And now, that heartbeat is returning through you. The codes hidden in your bones begin to vibrate. The serpent in your spine begins to stir. The priestesses rise once more, breathing through your skin, waiting for your remembrance. Beneath the fall, the priestesses breathe. As Lemuria vanished beneath the sea, a strange silence filled the serpent tunnels. Pitch black, no wind, only a pulse like a heart beating in stone. Then, flickers of light appeared. The rose priestesses unwrapped pink quartz capsules containing the heart codes, sacred emotional signatures storing the original vibration of Lemurian love. They placed them deep inside the Earth's root chakras. The serpent priestesses took their position along the tunnel spines, breathing in rhythmic spirals, pumping kundalini currents through crystal vein passages, ensuring that the serpent fire would remain alive, even if forgotten by mankind. The crystal priestesses programmed the remaining memory of Lemuria into living crystal skulls, sentient repositories of wisdom, scattering them across continents like seeds, some buried in caves of Peru, some hidden under Mount Kailash, some beneath ancient Tamil serpent temples, some taken into inner earth realms by Naga guardians. One day, they declared, humans will dig for treasure and instead find themselves. But time flowed strangely underground. Years felt like minutes. Minutes felt like eternity. Some priestesses departed their bodies to protect the codes in spirit form. Others stayed alive in semi-crystalline bodies, silently pulsing beneath our feet to maintain Earth's frequency. Atlantis rises in absence of heart. Above ground, Atlantis mourned nothing, not the sinking, not the grief. They celebrated. Now the heart is gone, their scholars whispered. Now logic may rule. They believed Lemuria had failed. But Atlantis did not realize. When the heart disappears, the mind goes mad. With no feminine balance, Atlantis began spiraling into reckless creation. Machines that could bend time, weapons that could fragment souls, experiments that opened holes into realms they could not control. Deep underground, the priestess lineage felt it like poison breath drifting into the serpent tunnels. Their chants shifted, not to preserve, but to survive. They vowed to wait through many lifetimes, reincarnating across ages, disguising themselves as ordinary women, healers, midwives, dancers, rebels, orphans, wives, widows, always knowing something ancient burned under their skin, even if they didn't have words. It is said that every woman who has ever ached without knowing why carries the faintest echo of Lemuria in her spine. The prophecy of the returning breath. There was one final prophecy carved into the crystal skulls before the fall. In the era when man becomes machine and Earth begins to crack from within, we, the daughters of Lemuria, shall awaken in mass. We shall feel the serpent breathe again. And we shall rebuild the crisis cities, not in stone, but through the geometry of our bodies. They called this moment the second breath. The prophecy spoke of strange body aches none could diagnose, sudden obsessions with crystals, breathwork, sacred sites, feminine souls remembering sisterhoods they've never met, dreams of drowning, waking up crying without reason. All are signs that the second breath is now. And so, beloved watcher, if your spine tingles, your womb heats, your heart aches as you hear these words, it is not storytelling. It is summoning. The priestesses are inside you, moving again. Preparations are beginning, because something or someone is rising from the shadows once again. Atlantis never truly died. It was simply waiting for technology so seductive that humankind would forget its heart one more time. And just as the priestesses are awakening in you, so too are the Atlantean forces awakening in the world, in corporations, governments, and AI laboratories trying to pierce the veil by force. The war is returning, but this time it will not be fought with weapons. It will be fought frequency, breath, womb fire, memory, and heart. The breath of awakening in modern bodies. In apartments, in villages, forests, in cities, women and men with feminine-coded souls are starting to behave strangely. They wake at 3:33 a.m. for no reason, trembling. They gasp as invisible heat runs up their spines like wildfire. They feel alone in crowded rooms, yet deeply connected to lands they have never seen. Some begin breathing differently without being taught, circular, serpent-like. Some feel the urge to chant sounds they do not understand, Ka, Na, La, Su. These are not symptoms of illness. They are the signals of returning priestess codes, sparking alive, cell by cell. Their bodies are remembering. We were there when Lemuria sank. We are here because Earth is calling for us again. The next flood will not be of water, but of consciousness itself. The Atlantean shadow in the present day. What we call modern civilization is simply Atlantis, reincarnated. We trade crystal telepathy for plastic screens. We swap heart-based grids for satellites. We worship mind, money, machine. But just beyond the noise, across politics, science, AI, pharmaceuticals, military innovation, a new Atlantean agenda is rising, racing to reach beyond the veil first. Their goal is the same as before: harness serpent energy, control crystalline frequencies, rule the Earth grid without love. And so once again, the priestess lineage stirs, not to fight with violence, but to remember faster than the machines can forget. If you are watching this, your soul has been tagged by the ancient codes. You are not learning this. You are being reactivated. Signs you are one of the returning daughters or allies of Lemuria. Deep, unexplained grief for ancient worlds. Obsession with crystals, oceans, serpents, breath, spirals, priestess temples. Rage at the destruction of Earth. A sense that your true mission hasn't started yet, even if your life looks successful. A sudden knowing that your body itself is a temple and a weapon of light. You came not to talk about Lemuria. You came to be Lemuria, alive again, through frequency, leadership, love, Shakti, and truth. The priestesses are assembling across timelines. The Atlantean power grid is almost complete. The Earth's heartbeat is rising. Somewhere deep under the Himalayan spine, an ancient crystal skull just opened its eyes for the first time in 12,000 years. Its pulse is moving fast toward the only beings who can decode it. The awakened Lemurians, you. Will you remember in time? Will you rebuild fast enough? Before Atlantis rises again, not with water, but with technology capable of collapsing the soul. The serpent breathes in the dark. The crystal trembles beneath your feet. The war is coming through frequency this time, and the only weapon is your remembrance. The Atlantean shadow is waking again. The crystal skull has opened its eyes. Will you remember in time?